All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then the next is an ordinance. Normally, ordinances, depends on the type of ordinance. We have a hearing, but I will open this up for comments from the audience before we take formal action on this ordinance. So if anybody in the audience who would like to comment on the ordinance which deals with the floodplain management, we'd like to hear from you. If not, we'll proceed. Okay, we will have I'd like a motion, and then we can have discussion.
I move that we approve the ordinance as proposed.
Okay. Need a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Just for information, Gwen, would you discuss just briefly what this ordinance covers?
Sure. This is it's basically a FEMA mandated ordinance that covers all the construction and building activities in a floodplain. And we have one area of the township that is in a floodplain, and it's along Glenfield Road. And we do have some houses that fall into that. This ordinance there was a draft given to us by FEMA, so we were only able to change a very few of the terms, kind of a pick yes, pick no, or pick A choice or pick B choice things. So it's and the draft had to be approved by the consultants, and she did approve it. So it's cleared and ready to go to be adopted.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No, I would just add it's essentially FEMA created, and it's always subject to FEMA approval. And as Gwen pointed out, we took what was a proposed draft, we made whatever modifications we could in consultation with the code enforcement officer and the zoning officer, and we came up with what we thought were the best alternatives for the township. We'll say one thing about that. The purpose behind this, having local municipalities adopt their own floodplain ordinances in conformity with FEMA, is that in order for the residents to be able to obtain insurance, you have to have these ordinances in place. So if you didn't do that, your residents in a floodplain would not be able to get the federal, the state funded insurance. So it's really a benefit to the residents as well as to the town.
Does this permit new construction in a floodplain?
It limits
it.
It limits it. And that's a big part of what the ordinance does, is talks about what types of construction can take place, what the standards, what the parameters are for construction in a floodplain.
Do we have much floodplain?
Just right along Glenfield Road down there, and it kind of, according to the new map, it weaves. Some side of the road is affected, sometimes it's not.
Okay. It's for a vote then. I'd like a roll call vote, please.
President Harden?
Yes.
Vice President Dobler?
Yes.
Commissioner Scholar?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifert?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next is a motion to adopt a 2014 sewer rate ordinance. And again, I'd open this up for any comments from the audience as to on the hearing on the ordinance. And we will explain. If you don't have any understanding of it, we'll try to give you a brief understanding of what the ordinance does. Gwen, could you briefly outline that?
This is a new rate structure that was suggested and adopted by the Aleppo Township Authority, changing Masonic's sewer rates from $10.50 per 1,000 gallons to $9.50 per 1,000 gallons, and reducing their debt service charge from $50 per EDU to $49 per EDU.
And I think the reasoning behind this was that there's no difference in the treatment for a normal residential sewage versus treatment from the Masonic Village. So there was really no justification for charging an extra amount, but that was the sort of the tradition in these types of ordinances, that there's an institutional rate and a residential rate. So when the rates were originally proposed, they followed that guideline. So any further, let's see, at first I need a motion and a second.
From commissioners, I would like to defer this vote until after the executive session.
Go after what?
Hmm?
You want to defer it to what?
After the executive session,
So you're making a motion that it be tabled.
if that's what's required, yes.
Is there a second to that?
I second that.
Then we take a vote on the motion to table first. Need a roll call vote on that, please.
President Gardner,
No.
Vice President Dobler,
Yes.
Commissioner Scholar,
No.
Mr. Jones,
Yes? Yes.
Mr. Seibert.
No.
Motion to table was defeated. I need a motion on the basic motion to adopt the new ordinance.
You need a new.
I need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I make a motion to adopt the ordinances so read by Gwen.
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
President Gardner,
Yes.
Vice President Dobler,
Yes.
Commissioner Scholar,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes?
Mr. Seibert.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion to accept a bid from Cargill Incorporated of $79.29 per ton for road salt for the 2014-2015 winter season. I think it would be proper to have a motion and then discussion.
Well, I will make that motion. I move that we accept a bid from Cargill of $79.29 per ton for road salt for the 2014 winter season.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion?
Well, Gwen, you sent an email around at some point this last week, and I apologize for not having the facts at my fingertips, where you said that this is more than last year.
It is about $25 a ton more than last year. This is very close to our bonus salt
Overage
price.
fee, right.
Yeah, overage
Okay.
fee. The memo was from Shaycog, who's the agency that we do our salt bidding through, and it basically explained why we really don't have a lot of a choice. Gave a summary of some of the other surrounding areas and their salt bids that came in higher. Some people didn't receive any bid. So they were recommending that we not just reject it and try to rebid because the result could be worse or we could have no bid. So they're saying, yes, it's higher, everyone's bid is higher, and they're recommending that we adopt it sooner rather than later so that we can start placing orders because there's concern that there'll be shortages again this year.
And so this means that, I take it the rest of the contract remains the same, that if we go over, we're up to then,
There's a new amount, and I
95.
didn't even see what the new amount was yet, yeah.
okay.
Now, the salt purchase requirement was increased at the board's request, so we now have 700 tons that we are required to purchase. We're required to purchase 80% of that, of the 700 tons.
And so we're not required to purchase 700 tons. We've ordered 700 tons. We're
We've not
required-
ordered anything yet. We have
Bid.
an estimate of 700 tons, is what we say we will want. We have to purchase at least 80% of that.
So if the season is light, we could benefit in that regard, that we wouldn't have to order the full amount.
We'll have to order 80%, but we wouldn't have to order the final 20, yes. And,
But this holds the price on the final 20%.
yes, mhm,
And we increased the total because of last year's shortage.
right. You had asked George for the totals from last year.
Yeah.
The last winter season. Last winter season, we spent almost $85,000 on salt, which is much higher than the budget. We took the money from the general fund. And we purchased about 1,200 tons of salt last year. And last year was a unique winter that was the worst we've seen as far as quantities go.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports. For those giving a report, would you come forward to the podium so that this is so we can pick up your voice for recording. Public safety. Chief. Even though you don't have your uniform on.
You recognize with my clothes.
You gotta set a good example, Chief, and come to the podium. There you go.
I'm sorry. Following is county police activity, Leadville Township for the month of July 2014. Alarms, 2 residents, 5 business, 1 theft report. This was medication that was missing from a residence. I believe it was individuals that had access to the home. 1 DUI, that was on Glenn Mitchell and the intersection of Glenn Mitchell and Weber, where they picked the person up. Disorderly conduct, that would be 2 young juveniles that were being disorderly at the swimming pool at the manor. They were both cited. A dumping violation, which turned out to be unfounded. They weren't sure who was. They thought it was somebody that was doing some work in the area, but it was not. We got a suspicious persons call. This call was a private investigator who was working for an insurance company. Some vehicle lockouts, several emergency medical assists, some animal calls, medical emergencies were 6. That's the end of the call. Animal complaints, one was a sick cat. I don't make this stuff up. The other one was this actually became an issue with someone that was allowing their dog to run without being leashed, and that turned into a citation. Another one was a snake in the garage. And the other one was
Snake in the garage.
deceased deer,
Snake.
and there were 18 citations. That's my report. Anybody have any questions?
So there's 2 of those that I'm interested in hearing more about, if you can tell me more. The issue at the pool?
Yeah, apparently 2 juveniles were being disruptive and vulgar language, smoking cigarettes and doing some other things, and people at the pool were. It was an ongoing issue, and they requested police intervention.
Who called, do you know?
Lifeguard or somebody on their cell phone.
Should have been the head lifeguard.
I have 2 names of these individuals. I mean, I don't know that they're lifeguards or not. They called into the station.
Okay.
It was 2.
I don't think that the actual name.
No, I don't want to name
should
them.
be in the public meeting. We can discuss it in an executive session, obviously.
Yeah, 2 individuals called in. We did speak to one of the lifeguards, and these kids were just being down and bad.
Okay.
I mean, unacceptable behavior. So they try. I think in the past they've tried dealing with them, and so they asked for our intervention. So we cited them and get them in front of the magistrate. Hopefully, he can have a little influence on them.
And then the insurance investigator?
Private investigator. There's a PI working for an insurance company.
Uh-huh. Where was that?
It's buried in paperwork.
You know, it's minor, no problem. Weber Road, around the 100 block, he was sitting in so the individual called and thought he may be sleeping in the van, and when the officer approached, he found out to be an private investigator working on private investigation. We get those a lot, where people will call in and say there's a suspicious vehicle. When you get there, it's a PI, and we usually ask them, you know, if you're going to be in the area, just call.
I would think that they would do that, right?
Yeah, and oftentimes they don't. They're, I guess they think that sometimes in the smaller towns, everybody knows everybody, so as soon as you would, especially when they work workers' comp cases and things like that, they're trying to find somebody doing things they shouldn't be doing. So
Right.
it happens quite often.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I can report that we've never had an incident at our pool at the village.
This is one of these people like yourself.
Yeah, well, you never know. Thank you, we'll accept that report.
You've also never had a movie filmed at your pool.
A movie film.
Yeah.
Hey, we're having an R-rated film on Thursday over
Oh.
Making one or?
there. Please. Bad time. Any report from the fire department?
No report. He's hoping to attend an upcoming meeting soon to catch everyone up on it.
Okay. Emergency management, I don't see
I have no
a
report.
report. Communications, we have a report.
I really have no report. We had a quiet month last month. We didn't have a meeting. I guess I should ask, is the picnic now officially dead
Yes, for
Okay.
this year.
for this year? Okay.
And just for the audience and everybody, Gwen sent out a nice letter to the people that had responded in a positive way. Just too much of a time crunch, too many other activities. And what we're thinking of is there something unique that we could come up with that would be different than the other picnics, that might even have something to do with the history of Aleppo or, whatever. Just something other than the typical picnic might add a little gusto to it.
I guess I'd add one thing to the communications report, just to sort of let the board know where I'm going here. I think that our video processing has been going very well. I always said that I sort of wanted to prove the concept before I came back to the board and asked for more money for equipment. We've been using my beat-up old computer, and it's very tired, and it's a stinker that I have to be here for this to work. So I missed last meeting. So I guess what I'm driving at is there's going to come a time, I'm going to price it out first, but there's going to come a time soon where I'm going to ask for us to approve funds for a computer to dedicate to communications so that it can live here and that we can get Gwen figuring out how to work it so that she can run it when I'm not here. You'll be all right, Gwen.
I continue to receive favorable reports.
Yeah, I get so many good reports, and it's not going to be that much money. I mean, I think $1,000 would be where we'd be at.
Is it just a laptop or a special?
It's just a laptop. It needs to be a relatively fast laptop, but it's just a laptop. But I think that it gets such good reviews. I think it's something that's worth continuing to pursue and making better.
Very good.
How many viewers did we have at the last legislative meeting?
I didn't count before I came in today.
Comments,
All positive.
but significant numbers?
Part of what I think is so great about this initiative is that I get a pretty steady flow of emails, and I just answer them and respond to them. But I'd say every month after I send out the digest, I get half a dozen messages back, people saying various
From
things.
throughout the community?
Yep.
Or Good.
Yep.
I think most of them are the fact that you separated into divisions.
Yeah, that's always
I've
favorite.
had a number of comments about that.
Yeah.
Zero.
I like it too.
I feel like there was one more thing I wanted to say, but it's escaping me, so if it pops back into my
That
head.
happens to all of us.
I understand.
Especially.
Oh, I know what it was. In keeping with that, I think this is working well. We had video presented our special meeting, and I'd like for us to start videoing the workshop meetings as well. So
Okay.
I guess I don't need to make a motion for that today, but again, just to get everybody primed that I'm moving in that direction.
Okay. Thank you. Accept that report. Planning, zoning.
There's one motion here, and there was a planning commission meeting, and we had two applicants. One was for a subdivision plan, which is a lot consolidation plan. We had an applicant who is a resident who's looking to take 4 lots and consolidate them into one, and his consultant is here. to answer any questions for this motion here. And the other applicant is a resident who's looking to build a single-family home in the Weber's Corner District, and he is going to need to do a lot of things in order to get those approvals. He's going to need to seek some variances, he's going to need to subdivide, and he's going to have a conditional use hearing, which is something that comes before this board. So before that happens, Harlan and I will work on a good way to explain to you what that means, because we haven't had one of those since we've had the new board, what the conditional use hearing is, what your responsibility is. But that, I don't expect that to be next month. However, I do expect a different conditional use hearing to come next month, so on a commercial property. And that was something that they'll be coming to the Planning Commission in September, and then coming to you for a conditional use approval at the legislative meeting in September. So we'll have to work on that.
And those, for example, conditional use hearings is a hearing where you will need a court reporter, for example. It will have to be transcribed, and there will be somewhat of a formalized process.
And
so
that
it's
is,
not just a meeting.
That is the meeting that you all have scheduled to have over at Masonic. So that's going to add a little different element to that meeting, because we'll have to have the public hearing for the conditional use, and that's usually done before the meeting. So I think we're going to have to gather at 6:30 to have the conditional use hearing, and then go into the regular session once that's over.
Have you been able to determine what room to be used over
The
there?
main room.
Regular assembly room?
And that's at the regularly scheduled time, or we did move that?
That's at the meeting's at the regularly scheduled time, but we may
Didn't we
have,
talk about doing it on a different day?
yes, but they moved their bingo or whatever.
Okay, so we're back to Monday.
Back to Monday.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the conditional use hearing that you were speaking of for the commercial property, is that for 200 Deer Run?
Yes.
Okay, and so that's not come in yet?
The full application has not come into the Planning Commission yet. I just ran the ad because we're trying to work with them because they have timing issues, so we're on schedule, but their application isn't due to me yet. So as soon as I get it, I will forward it on so everyone can read about it.
Okay. So we'll get that off calendar, that.
Right, you'll get it, yes, not just in your Friday packet.
Okay.
So I would like to move to approve the Mendocino plan.
Okay,
I'm sorry, before we go on to, that's this presentation here?
Mhm.
Can I just ask for an update on the Aleppo Commons project?
I've had no updates at all. I've not had any communication with them since the last update, so I don't know, I guess. That also was a Mendocino, it's a different Mendocino, brother.
Okay.
It's a different.
It's a brother's property right
And you've
near
not
there.
heard
But this
anymore?
is, not heard any more from them, so I don't know what their
That's
hurdles
been a
are.
while.
Yes.
okay, I need a second on the motion to approve the Mendocino plan, and we'll have this discussion on this. Need a second.
I second.
Thank you.
Tony?
I don't know, are the utilities required?
It's an existing house already, it's just removing some lot lines.
It's several lots owned by the same family trying to consolidate. Just-
4 lots.
Do you wish to make a presentation?
Yeah, let me just give you a brief overview. My name's Robert Garnless. I'm a professional land surveyor that prepared the plan. Mr. Mendocino has 4 separate lots. You know, he gets 4 separate tax statements, 4 separate lot and blocks. And what he would like to do is consolidate those into one. And, you know, I believe he intends to deed the property over to his daughter, and he thought, well, now's a good time to, you know, go ahead and do a consolidation. The topography would not permit buildable, you know, years ago they subdivided this property, but it really isn't suited for, you know, development.
Is that on Waterworks? Or what road?
Waterworks is way down here.
Okay,
You drive up the street past Tony R's, that's Crescent Avenue, and then Crescent turns right and you continue.
okay,
It's Crescent Avenue extension. You go to the top of the hill, you can't really go much further, and that's Mr. Mendocino's house.
okay. Go ahead.
And, yeah, that's really about it. It was approved by the Planning Commission, and, you know, some notes that the municipal engineer asked that we add to the plan. We did that, and so now it's before you for your review and approval.
There's
Okay,
no development, unlikely development in the
Everything's
future.
existing. No, it doesn't, the ground just doesn't permit future development. That's why he wanted to combine the lots into one.
okay.
What was the vote at the planning commission?
Unanimous.
Voted to recommend
Yeah.
approval.
Unanimous.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The tax collector report. We have papers distributed.
We have the reports. The taxes for the month of July, $10,684.36 for earned income, $12,836.47 for the business privilege tax, $4,040.19 for the local service tax, $17,111.31 for property tax, and no delinquent real estate taxes or realty transfer taxes for July. Total of $44,672.33. And the spreadsheet to show you, we are year-to-date $642,908.52. Budget is $743,000, so it looks like we should make budget. Last year to date, we had $730,185.10. So we're down about $90,000 from last year. Questions?
Okay, we'll take the balance out of your salary.
Okay.
Which again is primarily due to the millage decrease.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, any questions on the report?
Is the business tax itself, has that changed?
That's, 1%. 1% per,
I mean, the quantity.
the quantity?
Is that-
Hold on a second.
Is that holding up what you project?
I have last year's breakdown.
I keep hearing that people are
Someplace
moving
in
out
here.
of the industrial park. That's why I asked.
I don't think that.
Excuse me.
Brought it and then tucked it away here. John, I'm not sure where I have it. I will have it for next month. How's that? For the workshop.
You raised a question on the industrial park, that's a consideration.
Yeah.
I have. They're found more suitable property elsewhere.
It was in here earlier and I'm sure it's still here, but I will find it later and let you know. How's that?
Okay. Otherwise, that report's accepted, and the next, the treasurer's report.
PNC account has $277,023.52. The general investment Pliget account for the state, $105,181.17. The Pliget Plus, the money market, $1,028,816.92. The liquid fuels, which is the highway fund, $39,903.35. And please notice you've made a whole $1.01 interest this month. The reserve fund with Pliget, $103,397.28. Capital improvements, and this is where your highway paving fund is, $510,591.06. The Invest Treasurer's account, $15,735.68, and $100,000 came out of that for the tap-in fee to Swiftly. And the total monies on hand, $2,064,913.30. The net operating funds after the reserve funds are removed, $1,395,285.93. And for your information on the sewer bond fund, it has $362,876.10. It had $262,000 and received another $100,000. It's receiving just about 100,000 a month.
50,000 a month.
Or
That was just 2 in 1 month. It
Well, that's
received about
right,
50,000.
50,000 a month. Any questions on any of this?
My standard question, at the workshop meeting, not all of us were here, Gwen had talked to 3 potential investment firms to invest this money. It was suggested that we need something in writing from them before they come in.
I haven't received anything yet, but they'll be getting back to us.
But they are going to do it? Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next subject is finance. I need a motion to approve the July bill list in the amount of $42,201.23.
So moved?
I second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a motion to ratify July prepaid bills in the amount of $11,389.53. Need a motion?
So moved?
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to ratify July payroll transfers in the amount of $24,510.19.
I shall move.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Need a report on the Aleppo Township Authority.
Excuse me. At the last authority meeting, a number of issues were addressed. First of all, the superintendent reported that KLH did the final restoration walkthrough for the sewer project. I think we paid an invoice on that at the last meeting. There's only an issue, we have a leak, groundwater leak in one of the Deeron pump station. So that's an issue that'll have to be resolved with, I think, with the contractor who's still into the maintenance period. The chairman announced his resignation from the authority board, Mr. Lasanti. The water line replacement on South McCoy is continuing. And in fact, they only have a short, just a crossing of McCoy Road to put in. So they're almost complete. It should be done there in a matter of days. They received a bid for $17,605 for an auction for their 2001 dump truck, which was surplus and no longer needed, and that was accepted. The hearing for the Hill Street landslide was rescheduled, and I think the solicitor will probably report on that later. We took action to accept a proposal from engineer Ben Walker to install a $15,000 early warning pressure detecting early warning system at the on our water line that's subject to the landslide and in potential danger, of failing sometime if the landslide persists to the point of creating a fatal problem. we've changed the billing cycle, or confirmed the change of the billing cycle, so that water is going to be billed quarterly from now on. It has been as of this current quarter. And the sewer and debt service on the sewer will continue on a monthly basis. The chairman had reviewed the proposed draft with Westview on continued service, and the only significant changes were the quantity of water that we could purchase. We wanted to increase that slightly to be more realistic with our current usage. And in addition, he wanted them to specify that their quality of water would also satisfy all the necessary regulatory requirements.
Is there any question that they can supply additional water if we require it?
We don't think that's an issue, no.
Okay.
I mean, I know Westview is proposing to get an entirely new source of supply downriver from here, and a new transmission main running north toward, I guess, towards Cranberry. And that, I don't think the fact that they're doing that is an indication that they can't service us. There's been no indication that there's any restriction, even though they're doing that. And then finally, at the end of the meeting, the authority hired Banks and Engineers as a consulting engineer for the authority going forward, with KLH to continue on a project-by-project basis as authorized. And that and Tony's resignation is the biggest news.
Okay.
By the way, he prepared a very detailed report, which I don't know whether you received
Yeah,
that.
we got that.
The condition of the authority as he sees it, and it's very extensive and covers all of the problems, and there are many that he foresees.
I thought it was an excellent report.
I think it's very good.
And I think it's an excellent report as well, and I wonder if there's anything that we need to do to have this be a public report. Do you mind if it's a public report, Tony?
That's why I gave it to the commissioners.
So I move that we adopt this as a public report.
I'll second that motion.
Already had. Quinn gives them. One guy's up there. Guess who it is?
There's good news and there's bad news. It's a good report, very realistic. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to formally accept, is that, what did you say?
I want to adopt it as a public
Adopt it,
report.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. There is one statement in the report I'd like to bring up so that it isn't lost. I don't think it will be. It's a pretty significant item. That it's proposed that there be two tap-in fees, one by Aleppo because it's our system, and also another tap-in fee to be paid to Sewickley, which seems completely out of line to me. Are we going to be discussing this? Are you aware of this?
You go on. We received a report from our rate consultant in Switzerland.
Come up to the podium.
Right here.
Let me bring it back to you.
We've We have retained a consultant to look at switches. We've received the report. It's quite critical of switches. And we decided that we would hold that until the appropriate time. We've got a lot going on at Switchley, mostly the request for $100,000. We want to get that settled first, and then I think at the appropriate time, we'll suggest that we release the consultant's report. Because again, it takes issue.
He takes issue. Issue with the fact that they want a tap-in fee.
Yes. And the amount of the tap-in.
This is the increased tap-in.
Yes, yes. That's from.
And
This is a weekly tap-in fee.
Yeah.
And who you hired somebody
Yes.
to do an assessment?
Yes, we did.
Who is that person?
His name is Gary Schambach. He's a recognized expert in rates and tapping. You may recognize that name because he also.
Anybody? But it's somebody that carries weight.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. First class.
Now that this is a oh, sorry.
That's all, I just want to say, we want to look at the Aleppo's tapping fee too. I think, based on what we saw, so that we ought to re-evaluate the Aleppo. So we decided not to do any action on that.
Right now.
Yeah.
Before you leave, just to highlight what I think is very important clarification. On page 2, under personnel, the superintendent and his assistant are first rate. That needs to be emphasized.
Absolutely. I'm not throwing out the daisies where they're not deserved.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay?
That's all.
That's all, okay?
How will you make this public?
Post it on the web.
Any further comment on the authority report? Thank you, we'll accept that.
Do you see any problem with that?
No, it's already a public record by virtue of the fact that it's been introduced tonight and made part of the record. So it's already been made public for all intents and purposes. Under the Open Records Act, if someone were to make a request, they would receive it.
Would there be any, there's been a request at the board meeting in the manner for a report. Would it be appropriate, or would anybody have any objection to presenting that to the board at the next meeting?
To have someone from the township present a report.
No, I could present it if
Oh.
no,
It's public.
It's a public document.
Sure.
okay. No objection.
Okay, we'll move on to COG.
I have no report.
Thank you. Ambulance Authority.
No report.
Okay. Well,
It's there.
Public Works. Let's have the report, and then I see there's a motion here. Thank you, Tom.
In the month of August, we continued cutting trees along township roads, but now that's on hold till next spring. And we cleaned up the various from storms throughout the township and cut the grass throughout township. And on Ingleside, we removed the old storm sewer pipe, installed new pipe on Ingleside, getting ready for the paving. Had to make new signposts, one for Deer Run and Duff Road, that then reinstalled.
Is that just the sign poles, the sign?
We had to put the new signs up, but we have to make those signposts.
Okay.
Because when they made them fancy and do the same thing. And then over on Weber Extension, we dug out, installed a catch basin over on Weber, getting ready for paving over there also, the roads.
Okay.
And if I might add to it so that you can clarify, Tom had come to Gwen and myself as we begin to prepare for next year's budget. And he advised us of the condition of our current backhoe, and it's in need. So Gwen had agreed to determine whether we can do that within this year's budget and reserve funds, or whether it needs to be addressed in next year's. But Tom has done a very good job of describing what the problem is with the backhoe, and his greatest concern, and the reason we're considering it earlier than later, is that you don't want it to die on January 13th when it's cold and we have an emergency. So that's under advisement, and he got a loaner from one of the suppliers that he's had for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Caterpillar, it was a demo tryout. We tried out. We're very pleased with the machine. And one nice thing about that machine is the Authority has a Caterpillar also. So we can interchange back buckets. If we need a smaller bucket, we can use their smaller bucket. Without purchasing buckets, we can interchange buckets.
So it was a formal request from Public Works. Gwen's working on it, and at some point we'll probably have to take action.
Have you concluded that it's not a matter of a repair or replacement of major
The
parts?
machine, it's a 1998 case backhoe. There's 3,300 hours on the machine. The machine is totally getting worn out, but the concern now is a four-wheel drive. And on the front end of the machine, every time you're going to push into a power amp, it sounds like the front end is going to come out of the machine. That's a big expense. I couldn't give you a price on it, but the year of the machine, the hours of the machine, there's so much in the hoe itself anymore. There's so much slop, especially when you're swinging. Typically, a machine just swings just up there. It's going past that swing. The pins are just getting all worn out of the machine.
And then Tom came up with another good idea, and I don't know the correct term, but the machine that fills the cracks,
Oh,
that's called
back cylinder.
crack sealer. He believes that it is not appropriate for the work we do, and he was suggesting auctioning it off to another municipality that could use it, and then using rental equipment, which would be a real cost saving. So part of the money to buy the backhoe could come, a small part, from the sale of that inappropriate equipment.
What do you do if the present piece fails?
The backhoe?
Yeah. I mean, do you have to rent one, or?
Well, as far as the moment, we'd have to go to the Authority until we could rent a machine or whatever. Because my concern is in the winter. I mean, in the middle of the night, if that machine quits on us, we have nothing to load salt.
The load salt. Okay.
Well, but the Authority has something that you could use.
They do, but then you can't always bank on that because they could have a water line, their machine could be tied up.
Sure.
Then we have nothing.
I think, Gwen, you'll have a report, certainly for next workshop meeting, letting us know the money that's available today. I'm not saying purchase it today, but she's going to let us know. And then as we start to work on the budget, we'll act accordingly. Right? That was our promise, now it's official.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
So where do we stand in terms of road paving after we adopted that last month?
This week, we started today, the areas that we got ready for the roads that are going to be paved. We'll start tomorrow, put the binder in. Hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have those three areas bindered in. Then we're going to start on the township roads.
That's us paving. I mean, what happened with the contractor?
We have no update right
No
now.
update right
I'm
now.
waiting to hear back from Oxford Development about the timing of that. We're not going to, I talked to George from Mitel, the engineer. He didn't want to schedule a pre-construction meeting with the pavers until we knew.
Which was going to go first? Okay.
So I have 2 communications into the guy at Oxford, and he's going to get a third. Because I've just not heard back, and I don't necessarily care what the answer is, I just want the answer. You know, the date could be tomorrow, or it could be next month, I just need to know.
Right. Okay. And then did our engineer ever look at the feasibility and necessity of widening Swickley Heights Drive, Glen Mitchell Road?
I believe he did, but I don't have a written report on that.
Do we have a, I mean, did he say it's
I think he said it was, the way it's designed is currently meets.
It's a
township
standard
standards.
width road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it currently meets, it does not,
That's what he
it's
said.
not inadequate.
Okay, good.
Okay, any further questions? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We need a motion to allow trees to be planted in the back island of Swickley Heights Drive and to use the township backhoe to assist in planting the trees. This can be scheduled in at the convenience of the township.
I move that we allow trees to be planted in the back island of Swickley Heights Drive and to use the township backhoe to assist in planting the trees.
I second.
Okay.
And for information, the residents are buying the trees.
And just to clarify, this is only even coming before the board because those islands are township property.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Solicitors report.
Well, I have a few items to report on. They all fall within one of the 5 categories that would make it appropriate to discuss in an executive session, being personnel matters, litigation matters, and potential claims. So I'll hold my comments to an executive session.
Okay. 537 plan.
No report.
Just one question. We still have $400-some thousand from the bond issue? Right? And I'd like to recommend that the commissioners and the authority detail what the best use is for those funds. It's been sitting around a long time. Is that a good idea?
If they're not needed there, they should be dedicated to some other
Yeah.
place in the budget, yeah.
Yes, construction projects, construction project, we will delineate.
Yeah, we were talking about building reserves, getting the authority healthy, you know, whatever legal legitimate uses there are, it's there. We should at least determine how we might want to use it.
Okay. Any unfinished business?
I have on the agenda pension audit update, but that is something that we would need, Harlan's going to discuss in executive session first, so we can
Okay.
hear what we explain.
May I? You asked about the business tax, and I do have the form, I just couldn't find it. Last year, at the end of July, the business tax, we had collected $33,731 to this year's $24,000. So it's about $9,000 less.
I'm hearing a bunch of things. Have people moved out?
No, this is the business.
But don't we collect the majority of that from the industrial park?
It is, that's where we get most of it, right.
There seems to be an inference that if they haven't moved out, they're considering moving out. Have people moved out?
Some people have,
The
the
print-
water authority is the best one to tell us that because they're the ones
Okay.
who track, I know of several businesses that have moved out.
But by the same token, we've got, coming up on the planning commission, we've got somebody that wants to move in, right?
Right.
So,
Good.
which is, in my opinion, something that we should be fostering. We should,
Agreed.
You know, how could
I
we
was
go?
referring back to what I think is a good idea. Matt had asked months ago, do we have a plan for the marketing? What can Aleppo do to fill that place up? I think we should not forget that. I don't know how to proceed exactly, but
They do have a management company that's supposed to handle that, but
I think
certainly we
paving
could.
the road is going to help.
yeah.
I think so too.
I do. It's not marketable in its current condition.
Terrific.
And when it finally gets paved, it's going to be marketable.
And then are there other things we can offer? Just like,
Check my comments.
okay.
Okay. New business?
And I don't know what the solution is to this, but several residents have come to me on McCoy Place, complaining about cars speeding. Your head goes up. You know, and it's really coming around the bend. We had a water main break there 3 days ago. When was it? Yeah.
Friday.
Or Friday, Thursday. And that bend right there. Some people, and there's a lot of traffic right now because they're building and you're working on the roads. Anyway, I don't know what we can do. They asked for a sign, children playing, slow down. I thought one of those, you know, you put those signs up that track your mind, you know, and I know they don't do anything, but
No, that's not true.
sometimes people see that and it might frighten them and say, oh, you know,
We
maybe.
have a couple of them, I have them up in different communities, and we'll put it up there, and what you have to keep in mind is the speed limit on it is 25 miles an hour.
Well, I know I almost got hit one day. I'm right before that bend, and I was going to turn into my driveway, and before I knew it, this car came, and he just missed me. And I was shocked, because it's not a really traveled road. But, so I don't know if it's just what's going on.
It's worth a
I'm
try.
little kids now.
Put up a warning.
Put a sign. Where do you want that?
Well, I am at 147, so I guess if you would go down a few houses, there's a real sharp bend
You really have to put it by Vessia, really, that's
before
couple
me.
houses before the.
Okay, Patty, okay.
Yeah, there's got to be a warning, you have their house, and then the next house, then the next.
So it's really not so much going back to South McCoy, but coming the other way.
But then we have to actually get down before going to Russo's.
Okay, well, just give them an address, okay? Because I don't know the addresses.
No, it's a speed timer.
Oh,
Yeah, it reflect, it just, I got a new one that's smaller. I have the one on the trailer, and it kind of gets big, you know, it's just wide, and
there's a nice wide area to put it.
this one looks like it's the same size as a stop sign. It's solar powered.
And we put it coming back out before that then.
I'll get with you tomorrow, you show me where you
What did you start to say about the speed limit being 25?
But we have, all roads have to have speed limit of 25 miles. Before we can even write a citation, we have to give them 10 miles speed. So in essence, the speed limit is 35 miles an hour, which makes it difficult. And 25 to 35 mile an hour on a country road. And the vehicles today are, you know, bigger tires, bigger things make noise, and people, everybody always tells me they know how fast everybody goes. I wish I could take them all to. They know exactly what the speed limit is. They tell me what the cars are going, how fast they're going. And what we need to do, we'll put this sign up. If it persists and people keep complaining, I have another device that we can put on the pole. You don't even see it. It's a black box about this big. And it'll read every vehicle and every speed that is going through there for as long as you want. We usually do it for like a week. Then we can pull out an actual printout, and it'll show you what the cars are doing. Sometimes they're justifiable, and other times you look at it and you say, they're not going that fast. But there are times when, yes, they are going that fast. So let's put a sign up, see if that helps a little bit. If it seems like it's not helping, then we'll do the other one, and then we'll have to do some report.
The other concern is the school bus that stops on Glen Mitchell at McCoy. And now there's a bunch of small children, so the parents drive to the bottom of McCoy, and it's a little steep. And now people are parking, waiting for the bus. So they wanted to know if Aleppo could do something about the school bus. So I advised them to call Quaker Valley, has a transportation department, and I really think that they will turn that school bus up McCoy. You know, just
I don't
request.
think they bring a big bus into the boy, honestly.
You don't think they would?
I don't think they bring a big bus up.
Backing the bus out is not a happy
I
thing.
say they bring a small bus up in here, but I don't see them bringing a big bus up in the boy.
Well, if they bring it into Sewickley Heights Manor Drive.
That's a whole different thing. That's an access where they go up and loop around and come back.
Well, they could loop. They could go down and loop around. Well, I'm going to tell them.
Well, I mean, you can call them. They might say yes, they might say no, but in the wintertime, it's really tough. It's tough in the wintertime.
I remember back on our street, a lot of mothers walked their kids down to the main road. We can't do that anymore.
Hey, Chief, how do you clock drivers up here? You don't use radar, do you?
We're not allowed.
You're not state police only, right?
If you could get that passed in the state legislation, I would love you to death.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. I can go on for hours about that. We're the only state in the entire country that's not allowed to use radar. Radar's been around since the Second World War, and we're the only ones that aren't allowed to use it. It would change a lot of speeding issues in communities all around.
So what do you use, FastCar?
FastCar and another device called Internet, and we also use AccuTrack. It's nothing more than a stop. You have 2 points, you watch it, if you want to hit the button, watch it, it's like 20%.
So do you have to paint lines? I mean, I don't usually see lines on our roads for.
No. AccuTrack, you can have 2 measured points, 2 telephone poles.
I got you.
You measure the distance.
Okay.
And you have it marked somewhere. You can put lines anywhere you want. Sometimes people see those lines. But I don't like paint lines. I mean, it's nothing more than a glorified graffiti. Paint lines painted on the road.
But you can set up a speed check pretty quickly.
Just
without painting lines. Yeah. No, I mean to ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have another device called AMRAD, which goes on one side of the road and the other side of the road. It's a channel. It's 2 aluminum. And they have it's like a garage door opener. When you hit the first one, it clicks off. When you hit the second one, it sends an electrical thing back to the head and it tells you to do it. We have lots of them. These are your residents. These are your neighbors and your. If I may, I mean, I'll do whatever council tells me to do, but if we can do it that route, you know, you bang out a $180, $190 ticket, that guy's going to work that day and working for nothing. But I don't want anybody to get hit. I don't want anybody to, I'm all for safety, you know, but let's see what's
That's right.
going on before
Step by step. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up. I said, thanks for bringing that up.
Okay. That was new business. We have a couple action items there. Audit recommendations. Gwen, do you want to cover these?
Matt had asked that we include these in our action item section just so that they don't get forgotten as something that we need to follow up on from the audit. And the auditor still hasn't gotten any sample policies yet, so.
Have we reached out to him and asked
Yes.
and reminded him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I can start calling around and see if there's anybody who's willing to share anything with us.
Has he responded at all?
Oh, yeah, he said he's still gathering them.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Okay, let's give him.
Yeah, he got back to me right away.
Okay, any further comment on that? Citizen participation. You all know how this works. Any comments?
Yeah, what happened to the horse that was wandering around? And
We we grabbed it and lassoed it up a little bit, and then some young girl come, jumped on its back, and rode it back to where it was.
That was up in the manor.
It was all over here. It was a couple, it was from, right up the road here. Actually,
Merriman?
in the Squiggly Heights.
Ferry Road.
Yeah, Ferry Road, you're right.
I saw that. I was.
I've got big horse.
Mine's already by himself.
Okay. Motion to accept the resignation of Anthony Lasanti from the Aleppo Township Authority Board.
I very reluctantly move because he's done such a great job, but I understand.
I second.
Any discussion?
Great job, Tony.
Yeah, it's been fantastic what just accomplished there. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to accept the resignation of John Cyphers from the Aleppo Township Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. I've been in townships where such things have happened in different circumstances completely, but this is a very logical transition. Motion to make an appointment to the Aleppo Township Authority.
I move to appoint John Seaforth to the Aleppo Township Authority.
Second.
It's pronounced Cyphers, but I'll be.
Sorry, John.
It's okay. Everybody.
Discussion?
I before E and all that kind of stuff.
I need a roll call vote on this, please.
President Partner,
Yes.
Vice President Vogler,
Yes.
Mr. Scholar,
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr.
No longer on, I don't think I can vote. I'd like to.
You're finished.
I'd like to vote yes.
It isn't carried till you vote. Okay. Thank you. Certainly appreciate your service in this instance.
Yes,
John.
John.
You're here.
Did we see roll? It did have, okay. Motion carried. Motion to appointment to the Aleppo Township Board of Commissioners. Need a motion to appoint somebody. Who would we appoint?
I move to appoint Anthony Lasanti to the Board of Commissioners.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
President Partner,
Yes.
Vice President Vogler,
Yes.
Mr. Scholar,
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yeah.
The procedure here is that Tony now has to go and be sworn in before the magistrate, before the district judge. You can schedule an appointment with him.
Reichman?
And then you will be, do we have to do an installation? No. At the next, is there anything formal we have to do?
No, he just has to get his certificate.
Yeah, the certificate.
Okay.
You'll get that when you're sworn in.
Yeah, when he's sworn in, he'll get his election certificate.
Okay. Good.
I don't have to go to for the authority to do it.
No,
No.
that's important.
No. Okay. We will be going into executive session to discuss matters as previously mentioned by our solicitor. Following that, there'll be an adjournment. There'll be no other matters to discuss after the
Mr.
executive
Solicitor,
session.
what is John's status in terms of the executive session?
John has officially resigned, and his resignation has been accepted. we could accept his resignation to become effective following tonight's meeting.
He's also a member of the authority
He's
board now.
also a member of the authority board, and certainly if you invite him as a member of the authority board, he can participate.
So invited.
Absolutely.
Invite one.